there's such a benefit to being white in the West that everybody who has any non-white in them, no matter how white they look, they claim to be non-white. One would think that there must be some sort of benefit to claiming that you're non-white and some sort of detriment to being white based on the decisions of the people who have any non-white in them. How many guys out there, white guys out there, have been at the gym, they walk up to a piece of equipment, a woman who's on a piece of equipment beside you, get up and immediately leave? How many white guys out there have walked into a store and had a woman look at you, and because she just felt a bad vibe from you, maybe you're coming from work, you're dirty or whatever, she moves her purse to the other side? Every single one of us. Every single time. How many times have you pulled up? I grew up, pretty lower middle class, had beat up old pickup truck, pull up at with my father, pull up at a 7-Eleven or what have you, and get out of the truck, and the people in the cars beside you, even non-white people, lock their doors back when you could see the door getting locked. It's happened to every single one of us. But when you're a black guy, according to Black Blake, he's in tears over this because it has made his life infinitely worse. I'm sure his job at CNN is 6 figures, and he probably spends those dollars on that $60,000 Audi, and tears are dropping every time another dollar falls out of his pocket. He doesn't encounter angry white males with guns anywhere. That's not happening. But where does it happen? Why is it that he's able to write something like that? Because people believe it happens. Why do they believe it happens? Because it happens everywhere in fiction. And the subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between fiction and reality. And the subconscious mind is the mind that runs your life the vast majority of the time. And it is particularly the mind that people will defer to if it confirms a bias. What is part of America? The fact that CNN is a worldwide institution, and in all of the countries that CNN operates, it can tell the population, and has been able to tell the population since its inception, and entities bigger than CNN doing it before them, that the big problem, the big danger is white males, right? That is the reality. So this is what confronts people when they're forced to live by the anti-white narrative, which is the inverse of the reality that we then have to go live. We suffer a psychological trauma as a consequence of the dichotomy of the reality that we live in and the fiction that we're forced to believe, we're forced to at least say is reality. Well, all of these black guys, they have to suffer under this burden of this societal notion that they're just, everybody's thinking about them all the time. And talk about this idea about being, not being able to think solipsistically, not being able to think beyond yourself. It's just everything's about them. So this tiny part of the population, they are everywhere. And what are they portrayed as? They're portrayed as Cliff Huxtable. They're portrayed as God himself. Everywhere you look, they are portrayed as overachievers, as more intelligent, as better at everything. That's the reality that the black male population has to live with across the entire West, not what this guy is saying here, speaking from one of the biggest organs on planet Earth. Where are those decamillion, centimillion white people who have a decent bone in their body? I know powerful people. Watch the work that we're doing here. If you decide to start funding what I'm doing, we will change the context in what in historic terms will be considered the blink of an eye. We could have webzines. We could have everything under the sun. We could have leafleting campaigns. We already have a host of people that could be put on the payroll. Where are you? Because if what we are doing here with Going Free and the geniuses that we have assembled here are financially backed, because the world moves on dollars. If we are financially backed by people with the ability to do that, instead of wasting your money on politicians, on another Republican, and another Republican, another false promises, folks, you wouldn't believe how much money they give, or maybe you do. If they were to put some of that money here, we could change the world in the blink of an eye. Why? Because we know what the anti-whites are up to. We have the remedy to anti-whiteism that will therefore preserve all the things that these folks care about: freedom of speech, actual rule of law, the United States, Canada, Australia, all of these places could be preserved. All of these places could be saved. But they're not going to be saved if you keep investing in Republicans or if you keep investing in the right of center politicians, because they're garbage, because they're part of that system. Stop being such blinkered imbeciles. You have no idea how dumb you look in your Rolls Royces, pulling to and from your castle homes and giving those big checks to Republicans and other right of center politicians. You look like idiots to everybody who is lacking the one thing that you have, and that is money, because we're not anywhere near close as dumb as you are. You are benighted and blinkered and idiotic. Stop financing Republicans. Stop it. Finance work like this that is changing the world on less than a shoestring budget. It's all about race. It's all about victimizing white people. That's what it's about. Don't let conservatives, Republicans, if you're those things, fine, give it up. Come over to something that works. Don't let those leaders tell you otherwise. Don't let them say that, oh, it's about bail, or oh, it's just about turning the races against each other. All that to hell. It is about victimizing Western kind. It is obvious. We see it everywhere we look, and everybody who's denying it is either a coward and lying or anti-white and lying. It's one of two things, buddy or gal, and you can decide which it's going to be. Finding the software, which the company introduced in 2015, was supposed to detect and automatically delete hate speech before users saw it. Publicly, the company said in 2019 that that's always a wonderful thing to hear and feel, that we are doing our best. This is what the anti-whites at big techers. We are doing our best to prevent people from seeing anything that as anti-whites we condone, that as anti-whites we want. Now, why would they want to prevent people from hearing or seeing anything other than what the anti-whites want people to hear and see? Why? Because they want to control your mind. And with your control of your mind, the control of the narrative that you live inside of, they can do what? They can tell you that if you're going to resist us, you have to take the form of the most hated thing of all the people who would have sided with you. You have to take that form. They can also tell you that you're guilty as hell and you have to lower your guard and allow yourself to be victimized. That's what they can also do. They don't want you to hear from somebody like me, which is why they're just choking out of this YouTube channel and everything else I do. And that's why we have to go out and spread. That's why you've got to be, instead of marching around the house and cussing about what happened in Waukesha, you should be out distributing 1,000 leaflets on car windshields or at houses with nowhiteguilt.org, because the anti-whites are stopping us from reaching. We're not going to get there. Maybe you should go to the rich neighborhood and you could write a leaflet. Maybe we'll write one and put it up so you can use it that says, if you are anti-white, this isn't for you. If you are white or non-white and you're sick and tired of anti-whiteism, nowhiteguilt.org, we need your help. The country is dying. Whichever country it is, America, Canada, Germany, Italy, it doesn't matter, Poland, whatever country it is, Sweden, Norway, whatever country it is, it's dying. If it's Western civilization, it's dying of the disease of anti-whiteism. We need your help. Stop funding right of center politics. They don't work. They will never work. They are the release valve in a system that is meant to suffocate us, a coffin that is already underground, that is meant to leave us with nothing to even pull the little flag on to let folks know that we've been buried alive. Nothing in there but a dark, dank, suffocating death. That's all right of center politics is meant to do. I will admit that I did feel inexplicably angry at Jason when I first started listening, reading Going Free. I had gained visions of society that could be created where white children could be raised in freedom and safety. And here was another guy saying that was impossible, mocking me for engaging in historical revisionism, something I had sacrificed most of my personal relationships for because I believed that it was the cornerstone of what I would now call anti-whiteism, but at the time I referred to as white genocide. Thank you so much for that testimonial. It is extremely and powerful. You are one of so many now who have come to this community and who have a trail of ruined relationships behind you because you decided to go Ant-Nat, or you decided to play the antagonist in the anti-white narrative in some way. So thank you so much for sharing that, because that will prevent others from making that mistake or making it as largely as you did. Maybe they'll ruin fewer relationships, and maybe they'll make things not as hard for our people instead of sticking with it and confirming the anti-white narrative. We'll have challenges that are natural. We'll have challenges that could have been prevented. We'll have challenges that the anti-whites will cause. They will intentionally do things that undermine our efforts in service to white well-being. We need, and they'll do things, I should add, and they'll permit things in society that are grievously unfair, that are infuriating. We need to take the anger that we feel from these events, the rage that we feel from these events, and we need to pair it, this is what has worked for me, to join it to the love for our people. The love is the long distance run. It's not going anywhere. The rage over injustice, over death, over whatever it might be, those are the short sprints. Those are great uses of energy if you take it and you pair it with the love and you say to yourself, what can I do with all this that I'm so angry about to make a difference in the world? What can I do to actually get back at the anti-whites? Marching around the house and getting together with the buddies and talking about how bad it is and how God blanket and something's going to happen. One of these days it's going to pop off. You know how many times I've heard people say that and they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing. It's not bad. That's where you've been. It's bad if you stay there. You can make the decision to take that energy, and especially if you get with your buddies and you all say, my God, they mowed them down, for God's sake. How much more of this are people going to take? And the next thought should be 1,000 leaflets, 2,000 leaflets. let's build a program that will automatically, I don't know, email or automatically post or and get us into, I'm going to make 10 more accounts to post, and let's find big content creators that we can begin to influence the language, the concepts that they use. Use that energy, use that rage, pair it with the love. And the only other thing that's left for you then, when you think about the work that you're doing, is to drop the idea of glory for Westmen, men, women, and children, being something that has to be in a certain loss, a guaranteed loss where you die in the end and you're just waiting for that. That can be glorious, but it's one of many, and there is no excuse at this point for failure. You're not going to be able to look into the eyes of white grandchildren and great grandchildren and say, well, let me tell you why we lost, and that's why you all are being butchered today. That's not going to be good enough. Go out there and strive for glory the way we can strive for it today, the effective way, by getting these concepts everywhere you can while you can, even as they're locking everything down with one excuse after another. Because there's one pair of eyes that you're going to have to answer to. And it's going to be some young white person looking at you with that searching glance. What did you do? You want to be able to say, we won. We recaptured our destiny. And here's how we did it.